I used to get phenomenally annoyed every time somebody asked me, why are you wearing a sari? And my go-to retort used to be, well, why are you wearing a shirt? Or why are you wearing a dress? Or why are you wearing a skirt? And then the inevitable response is, but it's not the same, Sumitra. Why isn't it the same? Why isn't it the same? I grew up watching my mother wear a sari every day to work when she worked in the civil service. And this wasn't uncommon for a Malaysian Indian woman in the 70s and 80s. But a shift in our country's social fabric in the early 90s saw my mother adopting the baju kurung. As office wear, saris were relegated to bring your bangsa to work day. My grandmother was responsible for bringing me into contact with a sari. The first person who brought me into contact with the sari. I spent a large part of the first year of my life watching the world through the paisley print of my cradle under the stairs that she fashioned. However, she was also responsible for this travesty, where a ceremony was held to announce to the world that I am of childbearing age. And an aunt grabbed me and put red lipstick on my lips and eyelids and wrapped me into a Kanjivaram sari, and it was humiliating. But I wasn't humiliated enough to stop wearing saris, because 25 years later, I still wear the same sari. Woo! Indian women who don't wear saris because they have this association with that saris are grand occasion saris, yeah? Oh, there's got to be more. Breathe out, breathe out, breathe. Okay, there it is. So for the last 25 years of my life, I've worn saris to work, to play, and in a play as well. And I wore a sari to my high school prom, which was a good thing because shopping for a prom dress as a 5'8" teenager is emotionally scarring. There's only so many tada size besala that you can handle before you crumple. Saris one size fits all credo came to my rescue. But I've come to realize that every time people ask me, why are you wearing a sari, they're looking for a story. They're looking for a precocious heroine with a narrative and a happy ending. But you know, life isn't about happy endings, right? I work on a daily talk show every day. Every day somebody asks me, why are you wearing a sari? So I concocted this narrative. My mother wore saris, I wore a sari to my prom, but it's not the truth. Those are facts, but it's not the truth. So about 3 years ago, an ex-teacher of mine said to me, well, why don't you start writing about your saris? When I was saying to her, I can't find my focus in writing. She said, write what you know. And I said, okay, maybe I know saris, maybe I can start writing saris. So what happened in May of 2014 is I wrote my first ever blog entry on saris and stories in a bid to answer that eternal question, why do you wear saris? And I read that entry for today's preparation. And the narrative in it is all about heritage and culture and a sense of belongingness, and it's a lie. It's all the right things to say, but it's not the truth. The truth is I wear saris because I really like the way I look in them. As bold, confident women, we're not supposed to say this. We're not supposed to be so self-absorbed. But why does liking who you are have to be different from liking what you wear? Why can't we have both, right? So despite my reservations about my vanity, I started Sarees and Stories on Instagram last year. And the feedback ranges from, "Ooh, beauty, you look like beautiful angle," to seeing you wear a sari makes me feel like wearing my saris more. Okay. Then earlier this year, I held my first ever public event, and you know what I found? Every single woman in that room had this harrowing tale about being judged in a sari, and I couldn't believe it. So 2 months later, I held another gathering, and towards the end, a differently abled young woman got up and said, "Sumitra, do you think it's okay for a disabled woman to wear a sari?" She was at a temple event, a gathering, and somebody came up to her and said, "You know what, you're not respecting the sari with that limp of yours." And she's not been able to wear a sari since. Back in October 2006, the Star ran a story about the waning use of the sari. And they interviewed me for the piece, and at that time I just walked out of a marriage and I had zero confidence and zero bank balance. But when the writer asked me, do you ever feel out of place wearing a sari? I said, no, never. 11 years after that article, there's been this resurgence in wearing a sari. More young women than ever are open to the idea of wearing a sari, but there's a long way to go because we still get questions like, going to the temple now? Or you want to be a good girl, is it? I'm agnostic, I love single malt, and I'm on my second marriage. I work in a television studio where the hosts of a Tamil talk show wear saris to work every day, but since starting at Sarees and Stories on Instagram, crew members turn up to work in a sari too. The barrier used to be, oh, I can't wear a sari and work in TV production. But now people say, well, if you can do it, I can do it too. This, by the way, is my fabulous One Malaysia crew on my English talk show, who feel like they can turn up in a sari whenever they want to. And I don't have the words to explain to you how proud this makes me feel. And two of them are here with me today. I wear a sari because I like how I look in them. I'm happy and I'm confident in a sari, whether I'm at the grocery store or walking the dogs or in a bar drinking single malt. I personally don't feel that the sari is a sanctified garment that only needs to be worn by certain people. And that's what the crux of Sarees and Stories is all about. Wear a sari if and when you want to wear a sari. You don't have to be the good Indian wife or the dutiful daughter. You don't need an engaging narrative in order to feel that it's the right thing to do. Wear a sari and write your own damn story. Yeah.